Right, today is Sunday the 12th of May 2019, and this year 2019 is a very special anniversary because it is the 40th anniversary of Maka Foundation Sound System from Southampton, and today is a special day because we have got the two founding members of Maka Foundation here at the residence of Briggy Mix. We have Mr. Briggy Mix himself, and we have Wayne Salmon, i.e. Smiley. Manager and selector for Maka Foundation Sound. So today, just want to say thank you very much for giving us your time here today. And if you just introduce yourselves, please.
Wayne Salmon, aka Smiley. A lot of people know me as Smiley. Basically, like you said, founder of Maka Foundation and manager now. Just basically sort things out, what needs to be sorted out with the set. So
brilliant. And Briggy
Mix. I like to think of myself as a founding member, but I've got to be honest, these guys started it and I tagged along and I've eventually got in. So I'm the selector for the sound, sometimes MC, and been doing it for years.
Right, that's brilliant. Well, yes, so 40 years in the business. So Maka Foundation started in 1979. So tell us about the beginnings of Maka Foundation Sound.
basically, we used to gather at my house. We'd basically listen to music that we heard on maybe like John Peel. Used to play a lot of reggae music
on radio, BBC Radio 1.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we just listened to stuff before, and then just I put it on a cassette deck them days and just play it, and we just listened to it that way.
Right.
And me and my group of friends before we went to school, we just say, yeah, that was a good track or whatever, and then we just basically went from there, and that just happened over time, all the time.
Brilliant. Okay, so both of you guys came from the same area, the Derby Road area of Southampton?
Same street.
Same street.
Yeah.
So you're both...
and the other founding member, Skippy, also from the same street. So we're pretty much all from Clovelly Road.
All from Clovelly Road, which is off Derby Road.
was from Graham Road, which is the next street over. So pretty much just...
Brilliant, brilliant. So who were the founding members of Maka Foundation Sound?
I would say myself, Joe Salmon, Skippy, and TC.
Right.
And they were, although I was still at school, they were a lot younger than me. But they had the same desires and vibes to
energy
for reggae music and that. So.
Excellent, excellent. And any other members that have passed by over the years?
Many.
So many
people that have passed through. Some have been influential, others have been less influential.
Right.
So Inspector Mikey was a guy who introduced us to Dub Vendor Records. Right. In the early 80s.
Which is the benchmark, if you like, for all sound men. Dub Vendor was the place.
Yeah. Well, you know what? At that time, we were begging and borrowing records. We were buying one or two records from a very good local record shop called Henry's.
Yeah.
But it was still 6 months behind.
Right.
Getting to know a record shop in London, which happened to be Dub Vendor, which was a great pick.
Yeah.
Meant we were getting it fresh.
Right. Yeah.
So it changed. It changed certain things for us. People now sort of knew that we were bringing new records. So Inspector Mikey, he had a massive impact. Right. Even though it was taking us to a record shop.
Right. So, and for the viewers that don't know or haven't heard of Dub Vendor was an iconic record shop that started in the 70s. Every sound man, every sound system owner would go to Dub Vendor because their charts would be published in the weekly Black Echoes magazine. They would have a top 7-inch reggae chart, a top 12-inch reggae chart.
That's right.
And they were the first to get the freshest imports from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I believe they had their first shop in Notting Hill, Ladbroke Grove, underneath the railway bridge, and also Clapham in South London.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the one in Ladbroke Grove was the one
where
that
you used to go.
Yeah.
And how regularly did you used to go and buy your record?
Well,
basically, if we played one weekend, the next weekend we'd go up there and get fresh music.
So I remember playing in blues dances and finishing at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, getting paid, and going to the local coach station in Bedford Place and waiting for a coach and getting to Dub Vendor with our fresh money before Red was even there to open up the shop.
We were there before they even opened up.
I love that.
A lot of dedication there. And you guys are still playing now. You're after 40 years, still going strong.
Strong might be too strong a word, but we still play.
You still play.
Yeah, it's kind of it's obviously not as busy as the 80s and 90s was for us, but yeah, we still have our finger in the pie.
But what's important for Southampton, indeed for Hampshire, and dare I say it, for the South Coast, you're the only continuous foundation reggae sound system that started in the 70s and that are still playing.
We're
which is got to be applauded. Which has got to be applauded.
We're proud of that.
Yeah.
So, just a bit about your backgrounds as well. Your parents obviously moved to Southampton. Wayne, your parents?
My parents moved from Jamaica. They came here in the 60s. Obviously, that's when I was born.
Yeah.
And they just basically settled in Cleverley Road.
Yeah.
They probably moved around the area a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then Cleverley was their base.
Right. Yeah.
And that's basically where everything started from there.
Yeah.
My parents came from Fiji in the early 60s.
Yeah.
And settled in Southampton because there was family here already.
Okay.
And they also chose Cleverley Road to settle in.
So the area that everyone refers to, all my interviews, all say that the Afro-Caribbean and the Asian community were predominantly in the Derby Road area.
Yeah.
That was the area, that was where things used to happen, basically.
Yeah. Happened differently to everywhere else.
Everywhere else. So, as youngsters growing up in the Derby Road area, you must have been influenced by the local reggae sound system scene. I have interviewed some of the elders, so what are your memories before you started your sound of the sound system scene in Southampton?
For myself, I used to hang around with a friend called Vincent Gentles, and he had a sound system.
Sorry. Also from Cleverley Road.
Also,
yeah, top end.
It got to be said.
Cleverley Road.
Yeah, he used to hang around with
This is the reggae mecca of Southampton.
Yeah, trust me. So he used to hang around with Vincent Gentles. He had Majesty Sound, and he used to just tell me about how he was building the sound up and stuff like that, and it was just interesting. And I just got the bug from there, and then that's just what I wanted to do.
Right.
And music just flows through your veins from then. Once you got the bug.
Once you hear it like that, once you hear any kind of music like that, you know,
it's just amazing.
Sound system, something you've knocked two boxes together, and you've got some old valve amps and shit, and
you listen.
Yeah, it's different, and you get, I don't know, I got hooked on Majesty Sound.
Wicked.
Sound system.
So basically, you had other sound systems that influenced you that were run by elder members of the community. As youngsters in the 70s, the late 70s, before you started your sound system, where was there for you to go in Southampton to hear reggae music?
The only place for us at that young age was the youth club, Northern Boys Club.
Which is on Graham Road, I believe?
On the corner of Graham Road,
You had the West Indian Club as well, but that was mostly for like the elders.
The elder generation.
Yeah.
So Majesty Sound used to play in Boys Club. And a sound that arrived here from Birmingham, African Blood.
African Blood.
A guy called Shirty and Blobbo. And they used to play this sound, and it was great. 2 sound systems and other local smaller sounds as well.
Right.
You know?
So there was the Northern Boys Club, the Northern Youth Boys Club.
Yeah. Also, Ebony Rockers, a local reggae band, used to practice there as well.
Okay. That was the place.
So everybody would meet there. So you're either listening to reggae music, you're listening to a band, or you're going there to play basketball or snooker, football. So
any kind of youth club, really. Except the music was a bit different.
So you had the West Indian Club, you had the Boys Club, and I hear that there was a big sizable Shabin scene in Southampton. The blues.
Once again, that's a little later for us.
You
know, in 1979, I was 14 years old, I think, 13 or 14 years old.
Right,
so the West Indian Club and definitely the Shabeens came a little bit later.
So you were like 14 when you started Maka?
If my maths is right, my maths might be wrong.
I was still at school.
Yeah, you were still at school.
I left school at 1980.
Right.
So I was about 15, So he was right, he's about 14.
So you were both like
Yeah.
mid-teens when you started Maka
Yeah.
Foundation. Wow.
Yeah,
So-
Skippy was... If I was 14, Skippy was 12.
Yeah, and TC would have been
would have
about
been
11.
11,
So
12.
but we all knew what we wanted to do. That was
Right.
the thing, you know what I mean?
So you were schoolboys who started a sound
Yeah,
system.
that's right.
All right.
Yeah.
And so when you started Maka, what was the beginnings? What was the first thing you did?
We basically knew that we had to get like some amps together, get some speakers. So what you do is in the area you'd know if somebody had some speakers, maybe they want for sale or something, then you'd say, well, listen, I'll offer you some money for them and
Yeah.
an amp, maybe then. And back then, the first amp I bought was just a little JVC. It was like a Amstrad amp. So it's a basic amp, maybe about 50 watts per channel. So it wasn't nothing big, but it was enough to make enough noise. And
one of the first ones I can remember was a guitar amp, a valve guitar amp, the Parrot.
yes,
With a slope in front. And
we had so many different amps, but we'd have to try them and then maybe link them together so we could have tops and stuff like that.
The thing at that time was not for quality or whatever. It's get a sound out of there and people would just dance.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
That's right.
crisp quality at that point. It just needs to make music.
So there was no specialist shops in the
There was
late
one.
70s.
There was one guy, right? That we got to remember that because we were using valve amps to start with, K-Tronics, because everything was going to integrated circuit and all that, So valves weren't easy to buy. K-Tronics on Beavers Valley, which is still there now. I don't know if he's still trading, but he'd have a box of valves, so we'd have to rummage this box of valves to find the one that we need. And you're blowing valves every week.
Every week you're blowing valves.
Because you're turning the bass up or
We're
learning.
You touch the wrong wire to the wrong wire, all your valves are gone. And then you're on the Mr. K-Tronics door.
That's it.
So amps and speakers you built yourselves?
Yeah, we had a box builder.
Well, yeah.
Domenico.
Yeah.
Who was in the set.
You know what? To be honest, I can remember Skippy and TC building double joys, big, huge
boxes,
wardrobes, 18 inches in it, and we used to love those.
And
things.
so this is a kind of like still we're using your pocket money.
Yeah. So any little bit of money that we could get, we just put together to get an amp, like I say, and get wood. If we could, sometimes there was a local venture playground. We used to go down there. And maybe just get some, we got some stuff out of there, and maybe just build a box, put some speakers in it.
It just had to be a box, literally a box. Later on, when Domenico got involved, or more deeply involved, this guy was like an engineer, and he'd buy a book to tell you how to make a proper speaker.
That's right.
Obviously that makes a lot of difference. But at the time, the first thing was just to get a sound out of the sound system. The second thing is, can we get a lot more bass out of it?
Yes.
As long as you can get those things, a bit of a rattle, and
So the emphasis in those days wasn't on the mid-range and the tops. It was the power and the bass.
Yeah,
for us, because we're learning.
Yeah.
and for me, because these guys did all the speakers, the what deck we use, what amps, I didn't have anything much to do with that. Records, I just wanted to play the records. I just wanted to say, just get me a sound. So my perspective is that, just get me a sound so I can play this record.
Yeah. So when you started, obviously you're using whatever you could to get resources together. Now, one of the most important things is the music. In the late 70s, how were you paying and how were you travelling to get your music, because you were still schoolboys?
Yeah. Basically what we'd do is, there was a shop down in St Mary's, Lower St Mary's Street called Henry's. And they'd have pre-release records, so you'd have I don't know,
at the time
Judd Thomas maybe, was it
even
King Far Eye and stuff like that?
Yeah, Prince Far
Eye, that's it.
Like he had on his counter, he had pre-release 7-inch Jamaican pre-release 7 inches that didn't sell, and every Monday with my dinner money. I would go and rummage out a box.
Basically,
you know, and I would base my selection on the label or perhaps the artist. You know, I know Cactus has released a wicked record, or I've heard a wicked record on Cactus label. So anything I see there in Cactus, I buy it up and I get it home. And there's a lot of disappointment involved.
Because of course, in those days,
you know,
there was no channel to hear reggae.
That's right.
So you had to basically, you hadn't heard these records that were on the counter.
No, Mr. Henry wouldn't play them.
He wouldn't play them?
No, not those ones. If I was buying a brand new pre-release, which is probably going to cost £1, of even 50p, as opposed to this box of music where I can buy one for 5p. He's not playing that. You just take your selection and give him 5p or whatever, and you're gone. Right. So I would just base it literally on.
And also, we like I say, we used to listen to John Peel. So if I knew what a record was, I could then go and say, "Listen, do you think you could get this pre-release in?" And then it maybe take a week or maybe a week and a half. But then those records would come in.
So I mean, people underemphasize the importance of John Peel, because that was that time when there was no reggae played on the radio, no pirate radio stations. The only music you heard is on sound systems.
Yep.
So how many reggae records a week did John Peel used to play on his show?
Listen, I would listen to so much punk rock. Until he got to Dennis Brown, Money in My Pocket or something like that.
He'd play maybe 6 or 7 tracks a night. But you'd have to listen to a lot of punk music before you got to that.
So you became experts in punk music.
A little bit. But you know what? It felt like it's an even, you know, punk music is an alternative music, like how reggae at that point was an alternative music. So it was not a surprise that he was playing all that stuff as well. He wasn't a reggae DJ. He was an alternative guy, and so you plowed through some of that. Yeah,
so if we didn't have John Peel, basically you wouldn't know what you were buying.
I think you could, back then you could listen to maybe Radio London if you could pick it up on your receiver on the radio.
Which I could never get right, but I could always.
And then you might hear a few tunes, and if you knew what they were, then you could write them down and then, like I say, order them.
Yeah.
And then they'd come in and then you just pay for them. Brilliant. And just go from there.
Right, so obviously you started the sound, and obviously got the crew together, the equipment and the music. How did Maka evolve? What was the next stage of evolution then?
The next thing was what you're doing is you're upgrading your sound. So, if you had like 2 just sort of stereo boxes, you then build another 4. And just keep going from there.
Just building it.
Just keep building.
And
it's
learning.
Just continuous. And you're learning.
And learning.
And back then wasn't plugs. You had to wire.
Bare wire.
Bare wire. So you had to wire together and make sure that they don't touch, and so you tape them up and stuff like that.
Which brings us to the other guy who had a bit of an impact was Sean. I can't remember his
name. From Hythe.
From Hythe.
Yeah.
With his preamp, and he knew a bit about the equipment. You know what I mean? So he sort of showed us certain ways of wiring this thing up, and so there was a bit more clarity. By then, within a couple of years, clarity is the thing that we're looking for. You know?
So you started upgrading your equipment. You were still buying your records.
Yeah.
When did you start basically hitting what we call the sound system big time? And what was the road? What was the road to that?
Still waiting.
It took a while because. What we tried to do is just get ourselves a good name, because you had some of the sound systems still playing in the area. So we were like youngsters, we're youth men, and we're trying to just build up a little reputation.
So were the locals giving you a chance to do that?
Some were.
Because you had
some were supportive, some weren't.
So
much, because you know, like, you got to remember, we're 15, 16 years old. We're not playing Studio One and Lovers Rock tunes and stuff like that. We're playing Ja Thomas, and we're playing Toyin and dancehall kind of music.
Early 80s, late 70s dancehall.
Yeah, when we weren't aware enough maybe at that point, or certainly I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, I just want some boom, boom, boom dancehall music.
So you're playing young people's music, basically.
Man, just like every young DJ.
And we started off playing a lot of dub.
Comes up playing revival.
So we played a lot of dub and stuff like that, and that was the music that was in at the time. You know what I mean?
So 40 years ago, you were playing that dub music and roots music, which people now, sound systems like Head Sessions and other sound systems are playing now. You were playing all of this 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's when it when it was new.
When it was new and fresh.
Yeah, I'm not to say that these guys are not still fresh. People want to hear it, you know, and they have their niche for playing that. But for us, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've never felt like revisiting dub, but I have felt like revisiting the 80s. You know what I mean? We still play King Kong and all those sort of artists and Tenor.
So late 70s was when you had your roots reggae that was in full swing. So what were the big artists when you first started your favourite artists as well when you were starting?
Dennis Brown would have been up there. Gregory Isaacs. There's quite a few. Trying to remember them now, but there was quite a few artists who were around. Johnny Osborne.
Yeah.
It's
people like that.
The records that I remember. I remember Dandy Livingston, famous for
Living in Sus.
Living in Sus. He's famous for Message to You, Rudy. Everyone knows that tune there. But Living in Sus is just a great tune. So I'm playing him. I'm maybe not playing anything else by him. So those sort of tunes, Mr. Officer,
Fabian,
Prophecy.
All that.
All those tunes.
Rootsy.
So that's obviously your music and the equipment and obviously playing. Now the important thing also is, remember in the late 70s you could only hear reggae music on Radio 1 maybe once a week. How did you learn your style, the chat, how to rewind the record, the style to play the record and the lingua and the toasting and everything? How did you learn that?
At first it's just your own thing. You're not really too influenced by outside stuff. Where we were really young, we were just doing what we're doing. But then you start hearing cassettes from
abroad,
Sir Cox.
Or from London.
So the sound tape phenomenon.
Yeah.
And that wasn't there in the late 70s when you started.
No,
it might have been, but we weren't getting them.
We learned a lot from the sound systems that were around. So we'd go and see like African Blood and Majesty, how they were doing it as well. And you used to get like a 12-inch in it of sounds like Aces and with Billy Boyo and people like that on there.
So these were LPs that were released, live session recordings.
Yeah, live sessions, and you kind of base yourself on that, what they were chatting, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're copying.
Yeah.
You're copying. We weren't really inventing anything new.
But doing it in your own style.
As you're doing it, you stamp your own kind of thing on it, how you select. Wherever you go in the country, selectors are different. Bristol selectors are different to Southampton selectors. They have a little bit more rootsiness about them, I find. You know what I mean? Which is great. But Southampton has always been either a really dancey, bashment kind of vibe, or lovers rock.
Lovers rock.
Guys that love lovers rock.
So these sound tapes, when did the sound tape, for now, just for those viewers that don't know what sound tapes are, these are live recordings of sound systems from Jamaica or other parts of the UK that were popular back in the early 80s onwards, and they would be sold, and they were like what you call even a poor man's music, because one cassette you could hear like an hour and a half's worth of music instead of buying the records, and you could hear not just the tune played on its own, you could hear it introduced in a way and rewound. And so when did these tapes start getting popular, and how did they filter through to Southampton?
Well, I can remember there was another record shop on St Mary Street. He was only there for a year or so, but he did a good selection of reggae, but he had loads of Sir Coxsone tapes.
Live session recordings of Sir Coxsone from London.
Yeah, that's got to be about 1980, because I was still at school. I left school in 81.
Yeah.
So I can remember once again spending my dinner money on Sir Coxsone cassette tapes.
Wow.
And it could be just a little session, not they're not all, classic things.
Yeah.
It's just the records that they're playing, how they're playing them, and stuff. And Sir Coxsone was a big influence.
Yeah,
definitely.
So you had the Sir Coxsone tapes, and what about? I mean, you're still schoolboys in the late 70s, early 80s. How did you get to hear out of town sounds, or did you not hear out of town sounds till later?
We had a friend, Martin. Basically, we went up. He took us up to, because he had links with Coxsone himself.
Sir Coxsone from
London. That was our first dance out of town. We were not ready for something like that. But you ain't saying no. What, Sir Coxsone's in this dance as well? So yeah, Martin got us that.
Yeah, he got us that gig.
We were, I literally left school that year, so that was 1981.
You played with the legendary Sir Coxsone Sound.
Bournemouth Town Hall.
In Bournemouth Town Hall.
Bournemouth Town Hall was a massive
How
place.
did you get such an opportunity like that set
Just
up?
a link with Martin. A guy called Martin, he knew Sir Coxsone, and he was a local guy from here.
Yeah.
And he was around sound systems and stuff. He found out that we were playing sound system, and he asked if we wanted to do that.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
You were what, 15, 16, 17?
Yeah, that's right.
And you were playing against an iconic sound like Coxsone that started in the 60s.
I wouldn't use the word against.
We just kind of turned up, and hopefully, you know what I mean, we could play some tunes.
Right. And it's such a shame that wasn't recorded, that session.
It was recorded. I had a recording of that.
Oh, did you?
On cassette, yeah. I don't know where that's gone. I had a recording of that on cassette. You know, so we were playing, and he turned up late, and we were like feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, the set had never sounded as good. We'd borrowed records, we'd borrowed speakers, we were sounding good. And then the Juggernaut pulled up outside, and this guy opened up the back of this Juggernaut. There's just a bare speaker in there. And they came and they filled up this place with speakers, which is a big venue. And I think after they turned on their set and asked to do a test, I don't think we managed to play again.
We did play, but they had most of that dance because we just couldn't.
But the bit I remember,
couldn't match what they had.
Because there was a live band on stage, Double Up, who are also like a local Southampton reggae band. And while they were playing, we hit our noise box over while the band was playing, and Coxsone didn't like that, so he hits his sound effects box. And we did that, and you remember that?
Yeah.
And then we're like, why this band's on stage trying to do their thing? We're just having a little war with the FX because we couldn't war him with a sound system. You know, but I remember that. And you know what? That was so long ago that I wasn't even selector or nothing then. I was a box boy then. I remember
that was me. We'd string the sound up, and then I did the selecting.
So you were the manager at that time, and the chief selector.
Yeah. So and if I had to talk on the mic, then that's what I'd do as well. So
I was carrying box, just happy to be there.
So Wayne, I mean, that was your big, obviously as manager, your big big moment.
I've got the flyer for that somewhere.
You got the flyer for that? I'd love to see the flyer for that one day.
It's around.
Perhaps we can edit it into the video when you find it.
Yeah, I've got the flyer.
Yeah. So that was early 80s, your first big gig with Sir Coxsone Sound. How else, I mean, you mentioned you were too young to play in the West Indian Club and the blues. As you came of age, did you find that more doors opened to you in terms of the sound and where you could play?
Well, people still regard us as youngsters, and I suppose the older heads will kind of, the music's kind of different from them. You know what I mean?
The older heads were listening to what music at this time?
They would have probably been listening to a lot of ska.
We were playing.
Yeah, because we were into obviously roots and dub and stuff like that.
So they were still listening to the 60s music like ska?
Yeah, some of them,
More kind of like, so the DJs that played at the West Indian Club were playing a little bit more commercial, if you like. Although reggae was still quite underground. You know, Lovers Rock stuff, Janet Kay, Carol Thompson.
But not underground stuff?
Not hugely underground stuff. One of them, Kerwin, he would take a foray into a bit more undergroundy kind of stuff. But it's what people wanted to hear.
It's more your reggae version of pop music.
Kind of, mostly. It's easier listening.
Yeah.
Nothing aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, nothing too aggressive, nothing too controversial.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously as young 16-year-olds, we want something a bit more aggressive, a bit more controversial, lots of ganja tunes, you know what I mean? Lots of woman tunes. There was quite a bit of slackness about, you know, General Echo and
slackness
like
for those people who don't understand is X-rated lyrics and swear words as well.
Yellow Man coming up with bare slackness.
Yes.
We wanted to play those things.
Yeah.
Related to us, made us laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas some of that, obviously for obvious reasons, at that time you don't understand it. You just think, well, them big people I don't like me.
Yeah.
But Dad, they don't want to hear that. They've been through that slackness, you know, with Prince Buster.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't go through that slackness again. They're more, what's the word I want? They're more advanced than
they've evolved from
the dancehall is for young people.
Yeah. You
know, even up to now. You know, when I hear some of the dancehall stuff, I think, oh my Jesus, what I you know what I mean? What's that, sir? What's that? You are cracking through that one. What is that? Ah, is it busting out from the bottom? It's busting out from the bottom. Let's swap seats.
Yeah.
As you can see, there was a weight discrepancy.
No problem.
So that sounded like water rushing in.
I thought it was a.
You might have to edit that.
Yeah.
This is going to be difficult because.
No. So that was obviously when you were obviously trying to play at the West Indian Club and trying to play at the Blues as well. When did you first start playing? When was your first gig at the West Indian Club and your first gig at the Blues?
I can tell you the first gig at the Blues. Was that after that Coxon dance?
In 81.
In 81. You remember we came when we played in Oxford Avenue for
right.
Basel?
Yeah.
Empty. Pretty much empty. And so we all went down to Liebert's, down in the cellar, which was...
so Basel was a Blues in Oxford Road,
Basel,
next
Oxford
to
Avenue.
Clovelly Road.
It was a one-off. It was a one-off blues.
But
I don't think he kept a regular thing.
No.
Really.
And there was no one there?
Not much.
People turned up, but it was...
in and out,
yeah.
You know?
It
was a bit of an anticlimax to playing with Coxon.
So then you moved on to the one of the most popular ones, which was the Liebert's Blues, which was on St Albans Road.
Yeah, down in the cellar.
In the cellar, and that was your first proper gig at a popular blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the first time we played in there.
I shouldn't really say this, but I used to go sneak in there when I was younger anyway.
Okay, yeah.
But then as you get older, you want to play in the blues, and then they want you to play there anyway. So we were lucky enough to then be able to play in there.
Yeah.
A couple of DJs were playing in there before us.
Eggy.
Yeah.
He was the main DJ.
Eggy,
Yeah.
From Ebony Rockers.
That's right.
Yeah. He was the main DJ. In
Yeah.
Right.
And then I think we just started with us bringing records once in a while and saying, oh, Eggy gets a little blind, you know.
Yeah.
And we get a little play and stuff, and then eventually we put our sound system in there.
So when did you become resident at a blue? So Liebert's was your residency, Liebert's?
For a while, and then it moved. Then it moved to Glennis Brown on Derby Road.
On Derby Road.
And we did a little residency, 105 Derby Road for Fonzo.
Yeah.
We moved about a little bit.
Yeah.
It was only sort of like quite a bit later when I was kind of like just doing my own thing a little bit, you know what I mean? So I used to play Shabine every weekend.
Yes.
And then I became the resident DJ down there, still representing Maka Sound, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was kind of like not our sound system down there all the time.
Yeah.
We just select down there.
And all these other blues that you've mentioned for the viewers were all in that small Derby Road area.
Yeah.
All these roads we've mentioned, Graham Road, Oxford Avenue.
Side roads off, you'd have
Bullet
a house.
Street.
Bullet Street.
Bullet
All
Street.
off Derby Road. All called the area, or what they used to call the jungle back in the day. That's where where the majority of Caribbean families were living and Asian families were living back in the day.
I very rarely left the confines of
Derby.
jungle. Yeah.
Right. That was a safe.
Not so much for the sake. There was no. The music wasn't calling me from outside of there. All the music I wanted was in there. All the food I wanted was in
all
there.
All
the shops and everything. All the
pubs.
people.
Back then you couldn't go into town. Town was just too commercial.
Yeah.
They're not going to play no reggae music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want it up there.
Early 80s as well.
So you kind of stayed within the area because that's where everything was.
Yeah.
And that's where you feel comfortable. So
for me, there were certain like political issues why you wouldn't really go into uptown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, unless there's loads of you, unless there's 5, 6 of
That's
you.
my memories.
You can get into some violence.
Yeah. I actually remember, different from now. Whereas back in the late 70s, early 80s, you went into town, it was all mainly white.
Yeah.
You went down the Derby Road area, it was all black and brown faces.
Yeah.
It was like a classic ghetto, classic.
Yeah, that's why
almost unassuming apartheid, basically. So was that the case when you went into town? Did you feel different?
You do feel different because a lot of people know you're not from.
We dress different.
You know, they know you're from that area.
Yeah.
that's been known for like years.
Yeah.
So they knew you come from
Derby Road.
St Mary's area.
Yeah.
And you basically you get a lot of hassle. You know what I mean? People want to.
Not with everyone.
No.
But you're almost guaranteed that someone's gonna, say something.
Well, was there a problem
you.
with the skinheads in those days?
No, I wouldn't put it down to groups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, so we just basically you'd be you go uptown and you just want to hear a bit of music, and to be honest, a lot of it would probably be chart music.
Yeah, yeah.
So you couldn't really you couldn't wait to get back down into the area.
And hear your,
so you go to back to Lee Burst or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd be hearing reggae music because that's what we kind of grew up on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It don't matter.
So did you actually used to go to some of the clubs uptown?
If you can't get them, then you
Sorry, say again?
Did you used to go to some of the clubs
Yes,
uptown?
I did. Yeah, and
Okay,
we try and influence maybe the DJ to maybe play some reggae music. So at least we're in there buying a drink that we could hear some reggae music. But it was really difficult, you know what I mean? So
what clubs did you guys used to go to uptown if you did used to foray into Southampton city centre?
You had like the Dog and Duck. You had Centre Inn, which is now Barbarella's.
Yeah.
You had Centre Inn, which is now like where the West Quay is in Southampton.
Yeah.
So you go there. There used to be a couple of clubs down the bottom of St Mary Street, Zoots and
the upstairs club.
And the upstairs club,
Manhattan.
And we've played in I think both of those as well.
Those. I think the upstairs club was the first club we played in.
Yeah. Where we actually went in and we took the sound system and played.
We were too young and ignorant to realise what a dangerous place that
was. It was a dangerous place, but when you're young, you just don't think about it. You think, somebody wants you to play down there. Let's go.
And I also remember when the guy just agreed to our first price that we offered him.
Yeah.
we walked out there, right? We're really young, but we decide, okay, what are we going to charge him? Well, I don't know what we're going to charge. I'll tell you what, start high and he can beat us down a little bit.
Yeah.
So we started high and he said yes. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was shocked. I'm like, okay, and then we played there for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
There was a shooting and shit happened, and then that place got shut down.
Right. So this was it a mixed multiracial club, or was it?
Yeah, you had a lot of white people go there. Yeah. So you had them all from the area would go there.
Yeah.
Hell's Angels. That place was quite full of Hell's Angels.
Yeah. So that was the only club in town where there was a multiracial.
Yeah, you could go in and it's not too bad. You'd have a little bit of tension.
Yeah.
But if you went right up into town, then a lot of the times it's just a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Although that was probably the roughest and scariest place in the city.
Yeah.
For us, it wasn't like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you were an uptown guy,
yeah,
that club is not appealing to you because you would be so tense all night because shit happened in that place, you know. But I felt like that when I went uptown. I'd be tense in town.
So when you went into town, you would be like one of maybe a few black or Asian people in the club.
Yeah.
And the music would be what, John Travolta or
Bee Gees.
The music sometimes was alright because they played a lot of funk and disco and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were
it just depends where you went to.
Yeah. Barbarella's was pretty much always okay. They played. They didn't play reggae, but the funk and soul that they played.
But it wasn't relaxed. You were always
personally, unless there was a good handful of us in there.
Yeah.
And then you feel your numbers are okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's a mad way to think, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one has to think that way these days.
No, it's totally different now.
We're in the early 80s, 81, 82, 83.
Yeah.
That's what Southampton was
Yes, definitely.
I think the country was probably like that.
Yeah. And hence why Derby Road felt like a safe area.
Yeah, Derby Road was just home. Do you know what I mean?
So
it wasn't. You know what? It wasn't until secondary school when I started meeting some white people or more.
Yeah.
That I realised not everywhere is like where I come from. I kind of thought, they must have late opening shops in Shirley. Them shops are closing at 5 o'clock. Got your milk. I could buy milk until midnight.
You had loads of Indian shops on Derby Road.
I honestly believe
when
I went to secondary school, it was a massive eye opener for me. Honestly, because then you're kind of, there was more white folks and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the first time where I'm going to tell you the story. We just started secondary school, and me and my friend Colin, were walking, and I see this little white guy. He must be a year older than us, and he comes swaggering out the gate, and his mum's obviously at the gate, and he says, "Oi, mum, give us a fag." Me and Colin look at each other like that. He didn't just ask his mum for a fag, but he got worse. His mum said, "I ain't got no fags." Oh, fucking hell. He didn't just say fucking hell to his mum.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, if I spoke like that to my mum, everybody would come out their yard and beat me. What the? And honestly, that I know that's an extreme story, but it really wasn't.
That's how it
people
was.
were living a little
You basically met the wider community when you went to secondary school.
Yeah, for me.
Because for you, before then, all the shops were in Derby Road,
That's
all
right.
the youth clubs, all the pubs, everything was there.
There was Woolworths in town, and you
Yeah.
have to go to Woolworths and buy stuff.
Yeah.
And we know there's white people, and we meet white people, and
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
white people in our area, but
Yeah.
not. We were more. It was different. I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
very.
You're from the area,
Big
so everywhere you went, you're coming back into the area,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
meet up with your friends again, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you're discussing either music or stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
you know, it's good.
So that's obviously how the sound evolved. So you started playing in blues. You played at the West Indian Club as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit later.
That was a bit later.
They
Yeah.
were resistant to us for quite some time.
Was it because of the music policy, or was it for
I think
all
so.
reggae
I think
sound
it's
systems?
yeah.
They were kind of like, them money, I just smoke weed and bring trouble and anything that, you know what I mean? It was
Right,
kind of like, yeah, it was that kind of attitude.
I had
that
the
we-
similar vibe from Don Cooper, because he said in the 70s he couldn't go into the West. Well, he wouldn't go there because
Yeah.
the music was different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a different generation.
Yeah.
They've
Look,
played mainly soca and calypso.
That's right.
When I first
Yeah.
started going to the West Indian Club, the place was full of university students. Absolutely ram-packed every weekend, full of students, you know. And at that time, you're just happy to be in to hear some reggae in an atmosphere where you can smoke weed and everyone's having a good time, you know what I mean? But really, it was supported by the students.
Right.
You know, it wasn't. And once again, I understand that it's a commercial thing they're running there as well. They're trying to make our money, and you know what I mean. But it wasn't geared up to be.
The West Indian youth.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. I think that came a little bit later once we got a little bit older, and people got a little bit more angry, and then you know you force a little change, and then eventually you get in there.
Yeah.
And you know.
And so the West Indian Club, then they changed their policy during the 80s. Is that correct?
I think they made it a lot more easier for us youngsters to go up and then basically
some
listen
of them
to.
started supporting us.
Yeah,
I've got to say that their in-house DJ Peter Keto was always a supporter.
Peter Cato.
Yeah, I've got to say that.
We interviewed him earlier on. Actually,
Yeah,
a few
that
years
man, that guy was so encouraging towards us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he stands out because most of that age group wasn't.
yeah.
You know, Peter was
Peter Cato.
Peter Keto, Kerwin, who's not quite in Peter Keto's generation, but definitely
Kerwin
a
Rogers.
bit Kerwin Rogers, Night Rider.
Yeah.
He was also encouraging towards us.
Yeah,
You know, but the people who were running the place, not so much.
Right. So eventually getting to play at the West Indian Club, playing in various blues. Any memorable moments when you played in Southampton? What are the most memorable moments?
Oh.
Good and bad.
I think mostly just playing the blues. You play at the West Indian Club,
Yeah.
or you do a dance. Then you go to the West Indian Club afterwards,
Yeah.
and then you went to blues afterwards, and then you're getting out of there maybe 6-7 o'clock
In the morning. And a lot of people viewing this will not know what a blues or a shebeen is. So can you both... Southampton was very famous for them. So you want to explain to the viewers what a blues...
After hours party. You know, back in those days, nightclubs would be closed by 1, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And shebeen or blues dance, as we know it, as we call it, would start, and people would come from uptown clubs or wherever they've been and finish their night off.
Yeah.
And where were these clubs? The famous. I mean, where were these shebeens? I mean, famous shebeens like Gloria's, Liebert's. Where were they held? What were the venues?
Well, Gloria's is a venue. So Gloria's is number 7 Buller Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a house.
And that's a residential house in the middle of a street.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't really play loud music in there that often.
No.
The only time we really got to play in there, bless Gloria's soul, was when she went to, I think she went to America, and her two sons, Gert and Patrick.
Yeah.
This was before Patrick started his own sound system. Invited us in for a couple of weekends to play.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, but Gloria's was more of a chill spot. You know, she'd have cassette and tapes playing and stuff, and serve food and stuff. But
whereas the other venues, we'd take our boxes in there.
Yeah,
Your speaker
we just
boxes.
play weekend after weekend.
Well, so were they all houses, or some of them were cellars, or?
Two of them were cellars, because remember, Fonzo bought the yard next door to Liebert's, and that had a small cellar. Liebert's cellar was bigger, so but those were the only two that I remember being cellars. Everything else was in a residential
And these were
house.
residences owned by Afro-Caribbean elders.
Yeah.
Some of it, you know, there were times when so some of them were rented out to students.
Yeah.
And obviously in the summertime, students had gone home, so someone said, "Boy, there's an empty yard on Northport Road."
Yeah,
or
just want to set something up and
get in there if you could get in.
So basically, it'd be a house or a cellar.
Yeah, and
then mostly a house, though.
You set it up the day before.
Push
and then that was it. Friday night, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So you play Friday, and Saturday morning.
So all the furniture has been moved out. You've got your sound system in there with the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people have you got crammed into this blues party?
Just as many as can get through the door.
Yeah,
basically,
sometimes you can't even get through the door.
No, you can't.
The stairs, everything is full up.
It's just packed.
And the person that's running it is obviously looking to make money, so they're charging at the door?
Southampton was one of those rare places, because, you know, blues and shebeen is not just in Southampton. It was
all over the place, Birmingham, Bristol, London.
Southampton was pretty much, from what I can gather, the only place where you didn't have to pay to go to shebeen. You went to shebeen in Bristol and places like that, you have to pay money to go.
But inside you could buy alcohol and you could buy food as well. And these would get going at night time and finished till
6, 7, maybe even 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning.
8 still sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, in the 90s when I was doing Liebert's, Jesus, I was getting out of there 9, 10 o'clock.
9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was having to, sometimes I'd have to leave early, but it may be 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's
early.
I'd work the next day, so that same day I had
you know what, my thinking is why it changed like that, because like in the 80s, shebeen finished 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock latest. In the 90s you're there till 9, 10, 11 o'clock. And I just figured out the drugs changed. Right?
Yeah.
In the 80s we're all banning weed and that. In the 90s these guys are popping some pills, they're wide awake. You know what I mean? Sometimes I used to say like, no, you lot got to go.
And they're still wide-eyed.
Yeah.
They're wide-eyed.
They just want to listen to music,
And so the music policy was mainly what? Reggae,
a little bit of soul.
Yeah.
But mostly in the early days it was just reggae.
And
just play that.
Soul, funk.
Yeah.
And the crowd, what was the makeup of the crowd? Was it mainly West
Indian?
Indian?
People from uptown would come down into the area and listen to music.
In the early days, if there's like uptown people and they know people from downtown. Yeah. And you bring them in, and it's
so the crowd was mainly black in
mostly black,
mostly black,
and Asian as well.
And Asian,
the Asian boys used to like their reggae.
Well, Derby Road was like a predominantly Asian area.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
The influence filtered through to the wider community.
Yeah, everyone was on it. It's like you know, I've never heard anyone say, "Oh no, I don't like reggae."
Yeah,
you know, you mention heavy metal to some people, and they go, "Oh yeah, not for me." Reggae is I've never heard anyone say
they don't like reggae.
No, I don't like reggae. It's one of those things. You know?
So, any memorable stories from the blues? Any?
Lots of stuff happened in blues. You know, there was some.
I think most of them were just funny ones where. I mean, I don't smoke, but it'd be for somebody who's been smoking all night, and then they drink, and then they just collapse. You know what I mean?
I was in shebeen one day. It's just come back to me in Liebert's, and I look up, and there's half the cast of EastEnders in front of me. I swear, I'm not even going to mention any of their names, but some of them were big actors at that time, and they had done something at the Mayflower Theatre.
This is the cast of EastEnders, the BBC TV show.
I kid you not. And one of them in particular, she went on to real fame and stuff, but she's there, and I'm not going to mention any of them names, but they were there. They like,
Yeah.
one day, because Liebert's used to have like a dividing wall,
Yeah.
and so you couldn't really see what was happening on one side. I'm playing on this side. I'd go out there to use the toilet,
Yeah.
and there's two famous snooker stars there as well. They just opened
Jimmy White and
Alex Higgins.
Alex
they opened
Higgins.
up a snooker place uptown or something.
Buying weed from everyone.
I'll have to edit that out.
I remember those things, but
Yeah.
but mostly it was just you know, the memories for me is like playing a record and getting a
good
fantastic
response.
reaction
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that.
That's-
you know what I
that's-
mean? You
that's
get
the
so
good
forward
memories.
from that. That's what was, you know,
And then people say to you, listen, we can't wait to come back tomorrow.
yeah.
Because they know they're going to hear that again, and you know they're going to hear some of their favourite tunes, and that's what we're in the business for.
Yeah.
We want to entertain and make sure everybody's happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
As a selector, I learned a lot in the shebeens.
In the shebeens.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
wasn't all boof buff by
Yeah.
then. By
Yeah.
then, I had to know some lovers rock. I had to buy
Yeah.
some, you know, different kind of vibes, and even like some commercial tunes that, for my own taste, I wouldn't have necessarily bought. But that is what's going on, and that's what you have to kind of falling in line. Sounds a little bit like, oh, you're just, you know, uniforming yourself, but. You know, to get somewhere, you do have to play the hits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
So did you ever get any famous sound systems coming down to play at the, because you had famous sound systems come to Southampton back in the day. Which big sound systems came to Southampton?
Sir Coxon came
Yeah,
down
Coxon
at
came
least
a
2 or
few
3
times.
times. They played at St Matthew's Town Hall.
Yeah.
There was Danny Casanova, was
yeah.
one that I can remember. I don't know how famous Danny Casanova. At that time, he was a
Jashaka.
big hit.
Jashaka's played at St Matthew's Town Hall, if I can remember. I think
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Some Bristol sound.
And a couple, Sticksman from London.
London, yeah.
You know, there was quite a few sounds have come down.
Yeah. And did they play at the Blues afterwards?
Not
Most
many.
most of them just did a dance, they'd,
Yeah,
like in
not many.
a town hall, and then they'd just go back. Then
To be honest, you don't really want to playing too many blues out of town so much, because, like, to be honest with you, if I was out of town playing the shebeen and the shebeen get raided and
Yeah.
the shit's gone, and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that's different when it happens in your own town. It's heartbreaking then, which
Yeah,
we've been
yeah.
involved in that
yeah,
shit, but
that's happened to us.
at least you know where you're going to get that back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean,
So-
so shebeen was mostly just local DJs,
Local
and,
DJs.
Yeah.
and selectors.
So when you mentioned, obviously, the police would sometimes raid these premises
Yeah,
and take away the equipment, the music.
yeah.
Yeah,
We had
two
one unfortunate,
serious, two serious
two
incidents.
we've had, but one was really serious. We some lady got hurt,
Yeah,
and
we weren't even playing
No.
that night.
they took our equipment away,
Yeah.
and they basically took the equipment, and then it had to go to court, but they kept adjourning it, the
Yeah.
police,
Took about
because they
18
knew
months.
then it keeps us from playing,
Right.
and then eventually it went to court.
We got everything back.
We got. I basically went in there, stood up. I don't think I even had a lawyer. I
You
just went in
didn't?
there, said, "Listen, we play for the community." There was a couple of people came and stood up and talked for us as well, and said, "Listen, they're a community sound. They do a lot of good work for the community." So basically,
did get
the
it
judge
back.
just basically said, "Listen, just give them the stuff back."
Yeah. Okay.
We
The
got-
police
you know-
police wanted to drag it out a little bit
To
to
stop
stop
you
us from playing.
Okay. Okay.
And you know what? That was all heartbreaking enough. But that day, we just got back from London with
Yeah.
another 60 quid's worth of
records.
records. A big stack of records in
Yeah,
those
yeah,
days.
yeah.
And they're all inside this record box that
Yeah.
they took away. I made the guy the policeman put a seal on it, right, and sign it. And when I got it back, to be fair, it hadn't
Yeah.
been opened or anything. And,
Yeah.
and my first thing was to find that
Record box.
bunch of records that I hadn't even played.
Yeah,
And they were
yeah.
like 2 years out of date by then.
Yeah. So
But
they
yeah,
stopped
been
you
through
playing
them.
for 2 years, basically.
No, it wasn't 2
No.
years. It wasn't that long. It was
Well, it's
probably
18
about
months.
yeah.
But it didn't stop us because
We still
beg borrow some more
yeah, we
equipment
still
and
just
still
got round
do
it
your
and
thing.
were able
You
to
know what I
play
mean?
and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Lee
Until
Burt's-
we got all our records back
Yeah.
and stuff like
Liebert's
that.
had his own sound system in
Yeah.
there. you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we still
And what big artists have come to Southampton then? And have you supported big artists at the West
yeah,
Indian
a few.
Club?
Yeah. The one I remember the most, I think, is Sugar Minor. coming down
Sugar.
down the West Indian Club.
But, Mighty Diamonds,
Yeah.
Big Youth at the West Indian Club, Frankie Paul in the Shabeen.
Frankie Paul, yeah,
Frankie Paul,
yeah. I think I've got the audio to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a Shabeen. That was a last minute thing as well. That wasn't supposed to be us playing, and then somebody let the Gert, I think, was running that.
Yeah.
Let him down, and then he came to us in the last minute. You know, but Peter Hunningham this year or last year, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just people.
We've had Janet Kay come down. We've had a few people come down here.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to see a few more, but obviously it's down to the promoters and stuff like that.
If you were outside the proper big cities, like you said, Uptown wasn't inviting us in.
Yeah.
So there was nowhere for us to put a big artist, you know.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise we could have got, not we, but anyone could have got anyone.
What about your sound, Maka Foundation Sound, travelling outside of Southampton? Did you play at any other cities?
Yeah. We
played in Basingstoke.
A lot of local.
They had a West Indian Club up there.
Portsmouth.
Yeah.
But Derby, we did a few things in Derby, which I really enjoyed. I liked
that was really good.
Yeah, remind me of old time Southampton, really.
Yeah. Normanton and Peartree, that area.
Yeah, Normanton rings a bell.
Yeah. I think
we were out there with a Virgin who lived down there, but his family were from Derby.
Yeah.
And he took us up there. A few times.
I just juggled some music for the night. You know what I mean? It was good. It was good.
Yeah. So you did play out of town as well?
Yeah, we flew out of town. Obviously not really big places like Leeds or Manchester or anything like that.
Up north, not so much. Mostly west.
Mostly down here. And then slowly out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Brilliant. And obviously you had other sounds playing as Maka Foundation became obviously more developed. Was there any big rivalries back in the day in Southampton or with other cities? Any particular sounds you used to have rivalries with? Any memorable sound clashes?
I can remember one with a sound from Basingstoke, Kathmandu.
Kathmandu
sound from Basingstoke. A nice little sound. But I can remember getting into two clashes with them. One at the Argyle Centre many years ago, and one in Basingstoke.
These are sound clashes. There's a lot of people who won't know what clash is. This is where two. Well, do you want to explain what a sound clash is?
In those days, like Clash is different now. Clash is really different now. It's all about dub plate and the most exclusive thing that you can get. Yeah. In those days, you could clash just with 45s. Who can make this dance move? Who can make this dance move? You know what I mean?
You could put on a certain record, it'd be a 45, and it's just tear the place up.
Trust me.
You didn't have to have a special.
It didn't have to be special. Even Clash 45, it didn't have to be that. It was just about who's rocking the dance. I can remember in Basingstoke, we had a little trouble with the sound system to start with, and then eventually we got it playing, and it played like a bird. Man. It was so sweet. And so when we're playing, it was supposed to be half hour each. But we're rocking this place. We're rocking this place, so we have to take some more time. And then he's getting upset, and that turned into a proper little clash. I enjoyed that one.
And in Southampton, were there any friendly rivalries with other sound systems or?
Only
with Ghetto.
With
Ghetto.
Ghetto High Power. That was owned by Patrick.
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Yeah, they came from nowhere, really.
When did they start?
I want to say
they came after you.
Yeah. They were way after us. You know what? I'm not really sure of the dates.
Early to mid 90s kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It came up because by then. When we first started playing sound system, really, you're just a guy with the records.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Although you can influence a crowd and the crowd will cheer for you and that, you're pretty much just the guy with the records. By the 90s, everyone wants to be a DJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone wants to own a sound system and stuff. So I think Patrick came about early to mid 90s. And by then, sort of making a sound system was different because there was more equipment available, more sound system equipment available, whereas we had to build from the ground up. So he came with a nice little sound and some nice dub plates. We didn't have no dub plates at that time, so he kind of stormed in, and we lost about 2 years' work thanks to him.
Don't worry, I'm going to be filming Patrick as well, so I'll have to get his side of the story.
Remember that goal figure? He took about 2 or 3 years' work from me. But it was a friendly rivalry. Yeah, because we're all from the same manor, really.
All from the same area, Derby Road area.
Yeah, and there was no gangster shit kind of thing going on where a man from one street up.
Everyone was
quite
united.
Pretty much. There were clashes and shit as communities have, but so they're all your friends.
But like I say, from like even the early days, we just want to make sure that we're a better sound than everybody else.
Yeah.
To be honest, that inspires us a bit.
Yeah, that's right, because we think, right, we've got to get our game together now, and
I think that's the only time in our career that we played any catch up. So maybe we were sort of getting comfortable and relaxed, thinking,
we've got the city and the local.
Because by the 90s, we were basically we did have when it come to juggling, we had it locked. You know what I mean? Most people come and listen to us. We had people from in London come down regular
to listen to Maka Foundation.
Come listen to
you see the same out of town faces week in, week out.
Coming down from London. You would have
from all over.
From Birmingham.
So even those towns where they came from had bigger black populations and a more variety of venues. They still came to Southampton.
To come listen to
I gotta say, like if you spoke to most of them, the reason that they would give you was that Southampton is a safe place to rave, the bigger cities were a little more dangerous.
No gangster
vibe, really. This was a really chilled place.
Well, you're hearing music on a scale that's in London.
We're still providing
so we're providing
a more comfortable environment.
Yeah, really, pretty much everyone.
So they can come down, they can rave, they feel alright, they feel good, and they're listening to the music that they'd hear. I don't know, in Lambeth Grove or Brixton or.
We were for music and the way you presented music. We were like any other sound in the country. You know what I mean? But our Shebeens were safe, pretty safe place. They're not 100% safe. There was violence, but not on them scales.
Not on big scales.
To happen in bigger cities.
So. I remember as a youngster driving into Southampton down the avenue as you do when you come to London, and on a roundabout I saw a little advert, reggae sound clash at Eastleigh Town Hall, Maka Foundation and Ghetto High Power.
That's right.
I never got to go to that, so I'm kicking myself. So explain what happened on that night. This was obviously Maka clashing with Patrick.
I can't remember who the promoter was.
I think it was Jimmy James.
No, it was some white guy put it on.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember what he owned or anything, but he just wanted to see, because the two sounds were then quite big.
Ghetto High Power and
Ghetto High Power
Maka.
just coming up. And they, you know what I mean?
Both literally a couple of streets away from
Yeah, that's right. So he basically put this dance on, and it was down at Eastleigh Town Hall. It was a nice dance.
It was a good dance.
Yeah, it was a really good dance.
Our set played awesome that night.
Beautiful. The best that our set has ever played.
By that time, obviously, like I said, technology had moved, and so you were able to buy better equipment and stuff. And we really had some really nice stuff.
Serious bass amps.
Once again, another integral part of this sound.
Domenico was the engineer.
He's the guy who built our speakers.
He builds up the boxes, and he built us some the flared bins and stuff like that, and it was something else.
So
we just had the power, we had better amps.
I remember Patrick got hold of everywhere. I think we had shrunk down to 15-inch speakers by that point, right? Before that, we were using 18-inch. But you could get a 15-inch that do that kind of work. My guy Patrick came in with a 24-inch speaker. It looked like a coffee table.
Yeah. We basically thought, oh man, we're for a lot of trouble here now.
Yeah.
But you know what he did was he put that in the middle of the stack and everything else around it, and that just vibrated everything else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So and our set sounded awesome that night there.
Yeah, beautiful set that
We did
night.
clash there.
So you didn't clash there, basically.
No, we
You did
clashed.
clash.
We clashed,
We clashed.
but-
We won.
You won.
Yeah.
Maka
That's how I
Foundation.
remember it, Patrick.
Okay, well, Patrick will be able to give us the other half, the half that hasn't been told. Hopefully, when he agrees to be filmed.
Yeah,
But that was a memorable night.
that was
Yeah.
a memorable night. I remember, for us that was a memorable.
was a good night.
I mean, for anyone who was there, because it was just
Yeah.
a fun thing. It was.
I've missed it
Whenever
myself.
we-
I'm kicking myself.
Whenever we clashed, everyone on his sound system is a friend of mine.
Yeah, we
And
know
everyone
them.
on ours.
So you're
it's
both
not-
friends of each other.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Outside of sound system. And
Yeah, you
everything,
both just
we eat
socialise.
food and
Yeah,
we drink
yeah,
together
we
and smoke
speak
together.
to each other and all the rest of
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah,
they're on that sound system, and
you were on that.
People
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people like the clash thing. You know,
Yeah.
that was sort of like the beginning sort of time of what you see now of clash. Clash is really
yeah.
different now.
And you've mentioned specials in 45. Now, a lot of viewers won't know what that means. Now, Reggae Sound System used to buy their normal records for what we call 45s from the record shop. But to stand out when you're in a musical contest or a sound clash with another sound, from the late 80s, a new phenomenon called dub plate specials started. So you want to explain to the viewers what dub plate specials are and why they became popular?
I'll leave that to Briggy.
Well, it's just the best way to explain it is like it's a jingle for your sound system
From the artist.
from the artist. So an artist has a hit record, and you're able to get hold of this artist and you get him to sing his hit record, but he mentions your name, mentions your sound system.
Right,
It becomes
right.
exclusive to you. You know,
Right.
in the early days of that, it was pretty much only big sounds and Jamaican sounds that were really playing dub plate. It was great. I love hearing Coxon play dub plate.
Yeah.
You know? But it wasn't necessary for us in the early stages.
Because you were in Southampton.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
45, not just because we were in Southampton, but 45s was doing it.
Yeah.
45s
Yeah. There was no big selection of other sounds to compete against.
No, that's right.
You didn't have to compete
we
against.
we weren't in that league to start with. So
Whereas if you're in London or Birmingham, you've got dozens of sounds you've got to compete
right.
with.
You've
And
got-
if everyone's
yeah.
playing the same
That's
records,
right,
it becomes
yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
That's why you start the dub plate
so
Yeah.
you
special.
get your you get your version of a hit record.
So these are basically big reggae artists who you'd buy normal records of, but these specials you would ask them and pay a lot of big money to ask them to record the same track or maybe on a different rhythm and mention your sound's
Yeah,
name.
that's
So
what's right.
he could be saying Maka Sound is the best and on the same hit that he's released a few
That's
months
right,
ago.
yeah.
And those used to cost what, hundreds, thousands?
Well, the price went up when crack cocaine and there was yardie gangsters and stuff, and they wanted to clean up their money, so they all invested in sound system,
Yeah.
and then the price of dub plate just went to
Skyrocketed.
crazy
Right.
limits. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they could afford it and pretty much.
So for
regular sound
example,
system.
name a big reggae artist and how much a dub plate special would cost.
Well,
for
we
example.
were quoted like for Bounty Killer.
Bounty Killer.
Yeah, we were quoted stuff like £500 a track.
For one
For
one record where he would
yeah,
say
for
Maka
one track,
Sound is
yeah.
the best in
Yeah,
his tune.
and as much as I like Bounty Killer and stuff, I don't really want to pay them monies. You know what I mean? I'd rather have. We bought a lot of up and coming or unknown artists, and their shit is just as. It's good. It gets you through a clash. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But we weren't never really a big sort of clashing sound.
So you didn't have to spend thousands of pounds
No.
on dub plate specials.
As long as we had,
Did it in
as long
the
as we had a few
you know.
dub plates and all the rest of
Yeah.
it, that was good.
The first dub plate we had was Skippy, who was one of our
Yeah.
founding members. We
Right.
took him to a friend's
Studio.
record shop.
Recording studio.
Yeah,
Well, it was pretty much upstairs on a friend's record shop with some recording equipment, and he sang about us. Well,
Yeah.
still one of my most favourite dubs. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And that used to really go down well.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be, it didn't have to be the toppest artist.
yeah,
at the time.
Gregory Isaac or
Nowadays,
Frankie
it
Paul.
has to be all that.
Mm.
You know.
So you mentioned obviously later you had to start cutting dub plate specials.
It's not so much that we had to.
Yeah.
So a really good friend of mine, he was always sort of around sound systems and around our sound, Keith Richards.
Yeah.
Um,
Rest in peace.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace, Keith. He got involved with us because sort of clash thing started up again. This is the early 2000s, and some promoters wanted to just keep putting us in with clashes and that. So he came one day and he said, listen, I want to invest and buy some dub plate for your son, and you know what I mean. Obviously, he had a program that he wanted to follow through, and like I said, he's always been around our sound. He's sort of another friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, Keith started investing some money into dub plates for us.
Yeah.
You know, and he spent. I never even really to ask him how much he's spending, because that's what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, then so sort of early 2000s we started
cutting dub plates. And
yeah,
which,
a few.
Which artists can you say what artists you've got on dub plates?
So, I don't know. In those days, it was Spanner Banner, Little Hero. We got quite a few. Future Fambo, who's Future Trouble at the time, but I don't know, Dawn Penn, Ken
Anthony
Booth, Anthony B. I don't know, just
Johnny Osborne.
Johnny Osborne.
Yeah, the Johnny Osborne.
Little Howie, I think I've heard.
Little Howie, but then we've got Deanie Ranks, Kujo Bantan, you know what I mean, Terrorist Squad. These are not artists that people have
one away artists.
Yeah, one away, not even just people that when you're at the studio, man, just come to you and chat a lyrics I like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we've got, you know, legendary Dawn Penn.
I think I heard a couple of Everton blenders as well.
That's right,
Everton blender.
The Bushman, you got the Bushman.
Bushman, I don't know, Wayne Smith.
Yep.
All sort of,
you can defend your sound, basically.
Yeah.
We're quite an unassuming these days.
Humble line.
Kind of, because we always played. I was going to say we always played sound in a humble way, but we didn't, because we started clashes and stuff when you're young and vibes up and their vibes up and you know. But
the crowd's behind you and they're going, "Come on," you know what I mean? And
it really is. Clash developed into like its own genre, you know, within reggae. Clash is its own genre now, but it used to just be something that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And occasionally a promoter would put two sounds together to do that, but now clashing is just its own thing. You have DJs, that's all they do. It's clash and it's fine. People love that. And you know, that's not for us now. We're sort of more revivalists.
Revivalists. So what kind of dances do you play nowadays, and how frequently?
A lot of them are maybe people that we've been around for years. Like we might do somebody's 60th or something like that, somebody's 50th. And it's more now
birthday parties, to
christenings,
outdoor sort of events. Jerk jam this summer.
So which jerk jam in the Sobar?
No, well, we did a thing for the Jerk Jam promotion at the Sobar a couple of weeks ago, but the actual Jerk Jam
one, the one that's in Fareham, which is on this year as well. So we're on the.
What date is that?
20th of.
It's July, isn't it?
June or July. I think it's 20th of July.
20th of July. The Jerk Jam in Fareham.
In Fareham,
okay, look it up on Facebook. Maka
it'll be on
Foundation
Facebook or something.
But big differences now to when you started the sound, in that everything in the area is closed. Now the two main pubs where Afro-Caribbean people and Asian people used to meet up, one was called the
Queensland
and the
Northumberland.
They're shut.
They're residences now. They're flats.
The Blues and the Shebeens, like Liberts and Glorias, all shut.
Okay. All of that shut at the turn of the century.
And what about the West Indian Club?
That's now, unfortunately, that's now gone.
That's gone as well.
That is the one that didn't have to go. Everything else had to go. Shabin couldn't, had to go.
With licensing.
It was within a sort of time period where that was easier to get. I was going to say acceptable, but easier to get away with. In this time period here now, imagine if I open up a Shabin in this house here. Start playing loud reggae music. You could hear us if we were playing at one end of Derby Road. You could hear our bass line halfway down Derby Road. And when I think back to that, I think, wow, how did we get away with it in residential places? But it was a different time. It fitted into that time.
You could get away with that in the 80s and the early 90s.
You couldn't do that now.
They closed that down. And plus, like, licensing laws changed and opening hours have changed. There's no one wants to come down to a shebeen when you can stay in a club uptown until 6 o'clock.
Yeah, because the club's open till late now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so, you know, shebeen was for its time, you know.
Yeah, so all those places have shut. So now the only place that's open really in Southampton is the So Bar.
Yeah, there's been quite a few events there. To be honest, we can kind of play anywhere in Southampton because
it's more about not venues but promoters.
Yeah.
So whatever venue a promoter can get. So we played in all the clubs uptown and all that, but not for the club, for a promoter who's got to head that club. So you know, the venue. There's no one venue. The So Bar is probably the onlyest one where you could say, you know, he does reggae music. But
and it's a black-owned club as well.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Neville Virgin.
Neville, he's one of the guys from the area that knew from back in the day.
Yeah. So you know, he puts on reggae things up.
Yeah.
But it's not a reggae club.
No. It's he does all types of music.
Yeah. So, but everywhere else, like I said, we played in the clubs uptown and all that. But it's not for the club; it's for a promoter.
For a promoter, yeah. So what is now like the future for Maka Foundation then?
We're just gonna keep playing.
We
just you know, if people want us to play, we'll just keep playing. This year, like I say, is our 40th
anniversary.
So 40th anniversary. So round about the later part of this year, we're gonna try and put a dance on,
usually
and then maybe if we can try and get an artist or something. Just to
That'd be nice
celebrate.
To see.
Yeah, I feel proud and happy to be involved.
Because to be honest,
for that many years.
I didn't even think we'd maybe last that long.
40
because so
years.
many, so many sounds we know that have disbanded.
Yeah, and you're the only continuous sound. Out of all the sounds we've mentioned today, you're the only sound that's playing still.
Loads of sound systems and loads of younger people used to come to us in the 90s and stuff and say, "Yo, can you lend me an amp and lend me a speaker and stuff like that." Craig David used to come down when he was a DJ.
Craig David, which is arguably Southampton's famous export.
He came. He used to come.
You knew his dad. You knew him when he was young.
Yeah. There's a big age discrepancy, you know. But yeah, he used to come because he knew that Maka Sound was the sound system. He wanted to be involved, or he was DJing at the time as a young guy, and he'd come borrow some speakers or whatever, you know what I mean.
So do you still see Craig David?
I've seen him for a little while. I mean, obviously, before he got famous, before he got famous, he used to come down to that West Indian Club and say, "Oh, what do you think? Do you think I've got a good chance of, of maybe getting a hit and stuff like that?" And we say,
I've got
of
in my
course.
possession a live recording of Craig on our sound system. Before I'm looking up there to see if I can spot it, but
a live recording of him DJing on Maka Foundation, singing on Maka Foundation.
And the other thing is, he gave us a mention on one of his albums as well.
His first album,
so, his first album,
I felt good about that.
Yeah,
that's good.
I remember Maka Sound. So, everyone, any young guy, because by then, you know, by the mid-90s, we're all grown and we're good at what we do.
And we've also had a good following from the early days.
Yeah, some people
you can still see people that are just following us up until now, and
from
really,
79 to now.
God bless them, man.
The Sullivan family,
Sullivan,
and Kim,
yeah,
they've been regular supporters of us for that long. And you know what? You don't realise it's 40 years. You blink and it's 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's only in retrospect when you start looking back, you think, really, we were doing that in 79. And 1979 is just, unless you were there, you don't know how different that shit was.
It's totally different.
You know what I mean? It was a different world.
Different world now.
But you don't really think about that until someone makes you feel or asks you to think about it. And you think, wow,
obviously, times have changed. You know, back then you had to go out to listen to reggae music. Now you can just stream it off of your phone.
Sure, and being
a
DJ
and watch live from Jamaica.
Yeah, but people had to come out. They had to come and listen to our system. You know what I mean?
We had to go and buy speakers and turntable and all those things, and we had to travel to London to buy records. And you know, string it all up. Now you get a laptop. And you download some tune and you download a virtual DJ program, and boom, you're gone. You know what I mean? And that may sound like I'm anti. I'm certainly not anti that. You know what I mean? Go for it. It opens up reggae music to a bigger audience, not just reggae music, just music in general, and gives everyone a chance.
It's just a progression, but we were lucky. We were lucky to be in a time.
I'm so happy that we came from that.
Yeah, we came from that time
because
because
you had to build from nothing.
You had to, like you say, build it from nothing, and then also you had people that come out and you know they're going to come and listen to you on a Saturday, Sunday night or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time they're going to hear that music. And we had the music, so.
I think our journey has been...
It's been a good journey.
It's been a great journey.
But it's still going.
It's still going.
It started sort of not far from the beginning of sound system and reggae music and stuff. You know, 79 is, you know, you go back 10 years, 1969, and ska and stuff is just sort of turned into reggae and stuff. So we sort of...
You were there from nearly the beginning.
Near enough the beginning.
A few years after reggae started.
Yeah, that's right.
From Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know. And so, like I said, you know, in the beginning it was just getting enough equipment to make a sound. So you could play your record. You know what I mean? And then obviously it builds to wanting it to be clarity and then wanting to have exclusives.
And for those of us who weren't there in the heyday, did Maka Foundation record any of your live sessions?
Yeah, Briggy's got quite a few.
I used to do that. I still have a few. I've got the...
So you recorded a few from what sort of years did you start recording Maka?
Well, I've got some stuff here from probably the early 80s. The earliest one I got actually is from Liebert's from about 82, 83.
You've got a cassette recording of Maka Foundation from 82, 83.
Yeah, where we played one for one, not in a clash kind of way, just a one for one with another guy who was sometimes DJ, Bucker. Avril Bucker.
Yeah.
So I have a little recording of that.
Wow.
I think Skippy sings on it as well.
Is that actually taped on a ghetto blast or through the system?
Ghetto blasting.
It's on a ghetto blast.
So you've got all the background noise.
You've got the background noise. Did you ever
I'm
record
looking up there once again to see if I can spot it.
Did you ever record anything through the amps as well?
Then eventually, you know, you know, once technology and you know what you're doing a little bit more, then you just put your cassette through the system and get cleaner.
And the other thing is videos. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a man who harasses people in Southampton regularly for videos. If people haven't seen me, they've probably heard my voice. But videos. So any of the
not much from the early days.
Not much from the early days.
Nah, we never. Not even many photos. Or
no.
Yeah.
It's not like these days. Everyone's got a camera and a photograph. You know, and everything is recorded.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, your mindset wasn't even
we're too busy trying to make sure the system's right.
Working,
you know what I mean?
I've got to admit that the thing that I did want was the audio recording. That was what we were able to do. And I would always, and I kept, like I said, I still got that flyer from 1981. I kept those things.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting if at some point, you know, as part of your 40th anniversary celebrations, there could be a release, perhaps, an official Maka Sound release of one of your best audios from back in the day.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. I remember Lloyd Coxon released Clash of the Century from '86, where he remastered the tape, which had Eka Mouse and Frankie Paul in it. As part of your 40th anniversary, it'd be nice to see one of those rare audios cleaned up and maybe released so people could hear them. You know, one of your best ones. It'd be great.
Be good.
So,
I'd have to go through some stuff. There's some embarrassing.
Not that I'm putting any pressure on you. It's only me and you in this room. But
you can, you know, on some of the cassettes, especially the early stuff, you can hear. We're raw. We're practicing. We're learning our trade. You know what I mean?
But well, hold tight, viewers. You maybe in the near future we may get to hear one or two of these recordings.
I used to make copies for everyone.
All right, so people must have copies of them.
Yeah. Well, somebody in Southampton.
But that's cassette and tape. Who keeps cassette and tapes these days?
Yeah.
You know,
well, if anyone has any. I you know, there are people out there that can convert them. We can clean them up, put them through the graphic equalizer, put them onto MP3, preserve the history. So if there is anything out there, whether it's tapes or videos, That'd be good. And that leads me on to your website. I was doing some research on Maka Foundation Sound, and I came across the website. Very informative.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the viewers about the website, what you can see on it, and where you can find it?
Basically, if you just go onto Google and tap in Maka Foundation, it will come up with a Facebook link, and then there is another sound system link with a speaker, and then our logo on there.
Yeah.
With Maka Foundation.
Yeah.
We haven't updated it for a little while. On some of them, there's pictures on there of some of the Ebony group.
Yeah.
As well. But there's pictures that were taken from the West Indian Club as well, and stuff like that. Just basically about the sound and different people that have been on the system and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I came across it by typing in Maka Foundation Sound System Southampton.
Yeah.
And I came across a lot of photos from the early
That's
80s
right, yeah.
and the late
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. So basically, if you just go on there, there's one for Facebook, which is run by TC, and the other one is the one TC actually put up, which is if you need to contact us, there's a number on there and stuff like that for any dances that you might want to invite us to.
Well, just out of interest, if anyone is listening and they're interested in hiring Maka Sound, how do they get in touch with you?
Like I said, the website, the website will have a number on there, and that number will probably directly go straight to TC.
So Maka Foundation Sound Southampton.
Southampton, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you type that in, it'll come up with that on there.
And another exciting thing I came across just the other day, even though I've known Briggy for years on and off, we've known each other, many years, is your SoundCloud account, which has got some audios of Maka Foundation. Do you want to tell us a bit about your SoundCloud and where they can find you?
The SoundCloud is mostly just me doing, just selecting.
Yeah.
Selecting records.
Yeah.
So if you go to SoundCloud and just put in Briggy Mix.
Briggy, Briggy Mix.
MIX.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll find me there.
Yeah.
And there's there's Bashment on there, up to date stuff.
Yeah.
All the way back to Studio One and Treasure Isle kind of selection. It's wide and varied selection of mostly reggae music. I don't know, once again it's just when you're a selector or MC or any kind of performer, actually, you have a little bit of ego and you want people to see your stuff. So now, back in the day, I used to sell cassette and tape to people. Now I'm paying, so you can listen to me for free.
I think it's about
and I love that. I don't mind that. I just want people to, So I've been digging and delving into the old record boxes and finding some old 90s and 80s stuff. And just putting, I don't know, whatever I feel like putting on there.
What I found exciting though was, as I was driving up here today from London, I actually was listening to a couple of tracks you put up there where you've done a mix of some of your dub plate specials.
That's an old mix, that one.
Yeah, an old mix where you play, there's some artists obviously that you've got on dub plate special.
Yeah, I think Quen Shade is on there.
I was listening to them on the way up here actually. And I got another one to listen to on the way back down.
You know what, on the SoundCloud thing, I don't really put much of the dub plates on there, to be honest with you. It's just, I don't know, I just sit in front of the laptop,
mostly juggling tunes, isn't it?
Yeah, just get a vibe, start playing some record, get a vibe, record it, if it's clean enough, or not too many mistakes on there. I don't know, I just put it on there, hopefully someone will listen to it. I'm always thrilled when someone listens to it.
No, that's good, that's good. I mean, there should be more stuff like that. So obviously there's younger members of the community who are listening to this who weren't around. So if they have access to those audio recordings, the odd video recording, I think there is one Sugar Minot dance that was videoed in 1991 at the West Indian Club. You, members of Maka Foundation, are there bopping away behind this.
I got a feeling that one, Get a Sound took from us, but otherwise we would have been playing at that one. I don't think we actually played on the Sugar Minot dance.
I think it was Patrick Sound. Because on that night they had Sugar Minot, they had King Kong, which you can see on the video, and Tenafly. If you type in Sugar Minot, MINOTT, and Southampton, you can see that video. A lot of members of Maka Foundation on that video, and a lot of Southampton faces from 1991.
That's when dance used to ram.
And that was in the West Indian Club when it was open.
That was kind of like the time when you would seek out reggae music.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to listen to reggae music, you would seek it out and, you know, go to these sort of dances. Now, you know, reggae music is everywhere, thankfully. You know, Sharon Paul and you know, things like that. And obviously, like, it crosses over quite a lot. So sometimes you're listening to reggae without knowing you're listening to reggae. You know, So
it's the same with
in
that.
those days, that's why dance used to get rammed. Reggae fans.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much everyone you look at is a reggae fan.
Yeah.
You know, and so dance was a little different then.
Yeah. I keep on hearing that there were big dances with Tipper Irie at the West Indian Club, Peter Hunningale, Gregory Isaacs, Frankie Paul, and I keep on hearing that these sessions were videoed. So, but I don't know where these.
I don't think the Tipper Irie.
It wasn't video.
No, there's audio. Which you can find. It was pretty much the only.
You've got the audio of the Tipper Irie.
That's on SoundCloud.
That's on your Briggy Mixes SoundCloud.
Yeah, that's on SoundCloud. That's nice. There's some other artists on there as well.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much video.
Not much video.
No, because it was just sort of like the beginning of camcorders and stuff, kind of, and not everyone had it. And the inclination to do that was not there. Now the inclination to record everything is just there and photograph.
If only they had that in the heyday of reggae.
Something else.
I do wish there was more photos and stuff. I understand why there's not, because no one took. In fact, to be honest with you, if you took a camera down in a shebeen, people would not be happy with you.
No.
You know what I mean? Because shebeen was
meant to be a hiding place where you can relax.
Well, you can, go out and do. So, you know, so there's not many photos. There are a few.
But whatever precious few they are, they can see them on the Maka Foundation website.
Some of them,
some recordings from back in the day on Briggy Mix's SoundCloud. And hopefully one or two of those exclusive audios that you got from back in the day, maybe we can hear in the future sometime.
Well, I keep looking over at the cassette and see what I can.
Let me take a little. Oh no, I can't.
Look, this is. We still have cassette by the box of it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Let's have a look. This is a nice one. U Brown. 1984.
That's with Maka.
Just before Christmas.
Can I just have a look at the label of it over here?
It's all handwritten stuff.
Okay, let's have a look. Okay, and this is from 84.
1984.
Wow, you've got even the exact date, 68 Derby Road. Okay, sorry, there was a bit of a earthquake there, technical hitch. So we're still with Briggy and Smiley from Maka Foundation. I'm just going to show the viewers the cave, and obviously an Aladdin's cave of records and various other memorabilia. Let's have a look here. And records. This looks like a record shop. And record sleeves and everything up here. So this is the chill out room, I take it.
This is my little cave, my little getaway.
Yeah.
You know, I can pretend I'm back in the 80s.
Right, so so basically you're still going strong, you're still there, still obviously with the sound system, you still have your equipment and everything like that. And any message you have for the youth of today in terms of
stay in school, don't do drugs. No, just I don't know. If you want to be a DJ, go for it. You want to play music.
It depends on individual. I mean, if you really love the music, just try and pursue it, because you can make something out of it. You know what I mean? And I know there are a lot of people out there love the music, so
DJs became superstars. You know, people were commanding massive monies.
Yeah, so it's all good. Just if you love the music, keep pursuing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's
and
it's probably a better time now, because you can do audios now, which are a lot easier than maybe back in our day.
Yeah.
And the music is there at hand. You can. Whereas in our day, we had to, like I say, go up to London to work really hard to go get the music.
Not to say we didn't enjoy that work.
Yeah,
I used to love my trips to the record shop.
Yeah.
That's the Aladdin's Cave, the record shop.
Yeah.
You didn't know what he's got for you that day.
And it's just the feeling you're bringing back these tunes that you know that people
No
are gonna.
one's heard it yet.
That's right.
Or very unlikely.
And you know, as soon as you play it that night, you know, hopefully you get a good response to it, and that's what we used to love.
Yeah.
And the endless amount of Studio One that we got and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
You
So
know, I would say for the young DJs and that, don't pursue it for the wrong reason. Pursue it for the love of what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Love of the
That's
music.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for your own ego as well. You know what I mean? But not just for that.
Yeah.
You know, not
Yeah.
just for a bit of attention. We saw lots of DJs coming up, and they did it for the attention because but they don't stick to it because it's not really deep in there. So if you're feeling that deep vibe, stick to it.
Just go with it.
Stick to
Wicked,
it.
wicked. Well, yeah, many thanks once again to Smiley and Briggy Mix from Maka Foundation Sound, Maka for Life.
For life.
And hopefully we'll hear some big things from you in the future. Your 40th anniversary is this year.
This year.
You keep in touch with the website, with the Facebook group, and obviously listen out.
We're going to have something. It's most likely going to be in October during Black History Month.
Black History Month in Southampton,
and just celebrate our 40th
Around about that time,
anniversary.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much once again, sirs.
Yes, nice.
And hopefully we'll hear from you again soon. And hopefully we'll hear the other half of that Sound Clash story from Patrick.
Yeah, don't tell up no lies, Patrick.
Okay, peace. Take care.
Nice.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.